Alright, y'all, this is my first video since the July 4th video, so hopefully y'all had a great, wonderful, safe, happy 4th of July. Hopefully you still have all your fingers and toes and your limbs in your house. If not, I'm sorry, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, past couple weeks I've been trying to find new spots to catch the trains. This is one of the spots that I found, which is the old Port Orange FEC depot. It was a freight depot, and actually it was the oldest existing FEC depot that's still around. I guess I repeated myself. Existing and still around means the same thing. But anyways, as you can see on the sign, it was built in 1894. It was recently repainted. It was looking pretty shabby for a while, and then the Port Orange Railway Society got it repainted, so it looks a lot better. The Port Orange Railroad Society also was able to procure this maintenance away card, which is named the Willie. And then it was also able to procure the last existing metal FEC caboose on the system, number 806, which I believe is called Lucy. They actually just were delivered to this spot, I think, on June 28th. So they haven't been here very long. And I think the plan is, at least with the caboose, they're going to fully restore it. If you can read that boarded up window, that's what it says. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like once it's done. And then on their website, they were talking about they're looking at trying to get a steam locomotive and restoring that. I don't know if they're going to restore it to like just appearance, or if actually, I highly doubt it's going to be operational unless they have buku amount of money and are able to install a spur track, which I doubt, but I could be wrong. But anyways, I was trying to catch some trains there, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. But I was able to catch the southbound up in Bunnell, which is one of my normal spots. And for you GE guys, you're going to be happy with this video because that's mostly what I got. So unfortunately for us old school EMD guys, this was the only clip I was able to get this past couple weeks of a EMD unit leading. This was a local that had been working the main line up just north of Bunnell. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was there long enough that the actual evening southbound actually had to take the side and go around him. So I don't know if he had any kind of issues or just maybe it was slow today. But this is a GP40 in the beach towel scheme, pulling some rock cars and some other mixed cars heading north towards Jacksonville. So I gotta apologize for the shakiness in the video. I wasn't able to get my phone on the tripod for this shot because right when I was pulling into the area to park, the train started coming around the corner, so I had to jump out real quick and try to get what I could. So unfortunately, I didn't get the shot that I wanted to because I was going to try to zoom in on the curve and try to get, you know, a better artistic motion picture view. You know, try to be less amateur with my videos. But anyways, I had to get what I get. So for some reason this past week and a half, the FEC's kept me on toes because normally I can predict when they'll be at certain spots, and I guess for some reason this past week, I don't know if they had schedule adjustments or if they had just kind of impromptu stuff where, like, you know, track maintenance or issues like with couplers or engines or something like that. But it seemed like their normal schedule wasn't followed, or at least, like, I think there was one morning where I can normally get the train in Bunnell around 9:30 to 10. Well, he came at 8:30, so I was not prepared for that one. And then, like, this one, I thought for sure I had another 30 minutes before he hit this spot. And like I said, right when I pulled across the crossing, he was coming around. So I apologize for the shakiness. I tried to get some more of my usual spots, but I was also trying to test new spots. And I guess when I'm testing new spots, I just didn't get the timing down. So my apologies for that shit. And of course, I have to include one of my favorite spots, this spot behind the hotel in St. Augustine. Again, I had misjudged the timing on this one, so I was not able to get the locomotives coming across the far side where you can see the tank cars now. This is one of my favorite spots because I love getting both the locomotives going across the far side, and then of course obviously coming around to the near side. And then, like right now, you can see the locomotives coming on the near side, but you can still see the rest of the train on the far side. To me, I think it's a neat shot. I'd like to eventually get some drone footage of it one day, but it is what it is. And like I said, for some reason this week I just did not have the timing down like I normally do. So I know a lot of train videos that I've seen on YouTube, and of course even professional videos like train tracks and stuff like that. I know a lot of them usually cut out a majority of the middle part of the train, like the cars, because mainly our focus is on the locomotives. And don't get me wrong, the locomotives are the most important, most interesting part of the train. But for some reason with the FEC trains, I do find actually the consist seems to be interesting because, I mean, you got tank cars, you got hoppers, you got more tank cars, and then you have this random Florida East Coast container on a spine car. But then you have obviously the trailer on a flat car. You got more intermodal, but then the intermodal on these trains are usually spaced out. So I'm not sure if you noticed in some of these other clips that I've posted, like you'll have intermodal at the front, but then you'll have a whole mix of rock cars or ore cars, or gondolas, or tank cars, and then you'll have a second set of intermodals. And my guess is one set is probably destined for interchange with Norfolk Southern, while the other set of intermodal is probably destined for interchange with CSX. That's my only guess. I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong, so don't take my word for it, but that's my best guess. But to me, I think what's interesting about the FEC trains is, like I said, you usually see a hodgepodge of different things rolled on together on the same train. And for me, at least, I grew up in Texas with Union Pacific and BNSF, and usually out there, what we mainly got was unit trains. So usually I had a unit train of intermodal, a unit train of grain, a unit train of coal, or a unit train of rock. And usually the only mixed manifest was the box cars and tank cars, but even a lot of times you'll have a unit train of tank cars. So for me, the FEC concepts are usually interesting because you'll see intermodal with rock cars, and intermodal with gondolas, intermodal with tank cars, or intermodal with hoppers, or you'll have the the plywood cars and stuff like that. So as you can see with this train, there's just a hodgepodge of everything. And I kind of find it kind of interesting. So that's why I usually try to leave it in. Maybe some of y'all find it as interesting as I do. Maybe you don't. It is what it is. If you don't find it interesting, you can always hit the fast forward, obviously. But I don't know. I think FEC is kind of unique in that respect. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I haven't really rail fanned CSX or NS that much, so maybe they do this as well. I could be wrong. Just let me know. So I don't know if these are the same deer from the previous video, but I thought it was interesting that they're at the exact same spot at the exact same time as last time. So Bunnell doesn't look like too much now, at least for the rail activity. But back in the day, Bunnell actually used to have a passenger and freight depot, as well as a small yard. There was another picture I was looking for, but unfortunately I could not find it for this video. But this is what downtown Bunnell looks like now. There's a couple old buildings like this one you see here, and a couple other buildings that appear to be from the early 1900s. Most of them do not look like they're in good shape though, and hopefully maybe one day there could be some better restoration. I think there was some movement to get a passenger train station here in Bunnell about 15 years ago, but honestly I don't think that panned out. Though I do think it would be nice to actually get like a Brightline station up here eventually. There is some space for it because you can see where the old tracks used to be, but obviously the demand has to be there, and Bunnell's still a quiet town that I don't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately. Alright, so for the final shot of this video, this is the Tomoka River over in Ormond Beach. And this actually took me like a week to finally get a train coming across this bridge because, as I had mentioned before, my timing this week was just not good. And either I got there and the train had already gone, or I got there right when the train was getting there. Twice that happened where I was pulling up to the bridge as the train was going across, so I had no time to set up or get any type of video. And then the third time that I went there, I think either the train had already gone or it didn't come at all that day. So I sat there for like an hour and a half, and Florida in July is hot as fuck. So finally, on this day, I was able to catch it coming across. And I was hoping for a goat, but the GE Whitecap.